Yeah, we're going to do is we're going to go down it'll be Tyler, and there'll be John and Aaron. And first of all, I want to have you guys introduce yourselves first. So Tyler, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Michael Smith, composer for film. Go figure. I don't know why they chose me for this panel, but I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
John Grooters. I am a writer and director and an editor, and I'm excited to be here because the clips that everyone scored is from one of my movies. So I got to see them interpret the story and the acting and the pace of the edit with I only heard the last final four, but to hear four different composers bring their energy to your film clip is unbelievably cool. So I am very excited about this.
Oh, a microphone. Oh, yeah.
We'll share. How's that sound? Thank you. My name's Aaron Fullan, and I am a composer as well, and an actor. So.
Yeah. Great, wonderful. We've run the scoring contest for many, many years. Jürgen Beck was originally the person that started it. Its festival's been going on for about 13 years now, and this is our very first time ever doing a composer panel. Where we had just a record number of submissions this year. Over 30 people signed up, and very strong year. Everyone wrote incredible music to this clip, and it got to a point where we're like, you know what, we got to do a panel where we can listen to the top 4 finalists, and have a real world situation where you have the director gets to talk about the score, what he hears, and it's kind of similar to what, for example, in a feature film, directors might audition composers to score music for their film. They're trying to select someone. Like if it's an indie short film or something with really low budget, you wouldn't do this, but this is more for a feature film. Some people do this, and so sometimes when they're selecting a composer, you need to be able to hear what your future client might do for your project. So it's kind of a real world situation. And learn thing. And I'm gonna go through my notes here. What we did was in July, the composers wrote music to a 6-minute clip for over a month, and then we had judges that went through all of them, and we gave our feedback. The people up here are not actually judges during the competition, so it'll be fresh feedback from them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play each of the clips, and then we'll have Tyler, and then John, and then Aaron will give their feedback. So, and they scored. The films. This is the movie that they worked on. It's a World War II film, period drama, set in Romania. So kind of some context there. And this is us, the panelists. All right, so we're going to first go. These are actually the top 4 finalists, by the way: Matthew Sargent, Nic Dysert, and Brian Buda, and Ryan Garcia. So we're going to first play Matthew Sargent's clip. All right.
Aflăm mândurita ușurarea suferințelor prinților. Vedeți, scutit legal, preparat, început de mult. Ridică-te, hai! Do not be afraid or discouraged. Deuteronomy 1. Do not be afraid of them. Joshua 8.
I'm kind of afraid.
I'm collecting all the verses in the Bible that tell us not to be afraid. I think I might need to lean on all of them.
Read me some more.
Are not two sparrows sold for the farming? One of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father, but the very hairs of your head are numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. If they are coming, then they're coming. Let's not think of them as enemies to be feared, but rather as a mission.
Oh. Uh-oh. It's got some buffering glitch or something. There you go.
They're asking to see how it is.
Strange.
All right.
Uh-oh.
No Jews only.
Christian Worldview.
Oh, that's strange. Play this on my computer. It doesn't have a glitch. It's weird. Okay. Uh-oh.
Perhaps we should give it up if they can.
I apologize. Sorry about this, guys. I'm going to try to open this on the Google Drive here. I mean, the Dropbox.
If we slay, I'll follow you as to prison. It will be
Okay. Sorry. Let's see. Sorry, I didn't mean to have a glitch here, but it can you? Yeah.
perhaps here.
Just leave the cursor in the middle of the screen.
Okay.
And you can point off the edge is what's messing it up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Whosoever would save his life shall lose it. And whosoever will lose his
The next
life
one.
for
Next one.
Yeah.
Can we do audio out here? Then we
Yeah.
go to the speakers.
Sure. Yeah.
It'll just go, in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think we have to stay. We have a job to do.
Right. Oh, yeah, so Tyler, you can go first here. Yep.
Honestly, I thought
Oops, sorry. Mute the, okay.
pretty good.
That's weird. Okay. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Honestly, I was very impressed with that. I thought it did a great job navigating the different moods that were happening on screen. Great job building tension and then pulling back in the more intimate moments. I think that's one of the hardest parts about composing is sequences like this where you're going in and out of these situations. Only critique I would have is on that scene where they're reading the letter. This is me personally, but I was hearing like pulling it back even more, maybe a solo violin or cello or something like that to really lean into that emotion. That's a very random specific example. That's just what I was hearing. But honestly, overall, very well done. I was impressed. Great job.
Wow, that's high praise coming from Tyler. This reminded me of a couple of things. One is as a director, and you're so excited, we hear these guys and me, we hear these scores in fantastic studios, you know, in the best sound environments, and the sound is so important, and the power of that sound to sort of rattle your bones and to create tension. And then you go to some movie theaters and it's too quiet. And it drives me crazy because the trailers were like super loud, and then the movie comes on, it's like this loud. Like, I can't even sit here and watch this. I just get all combusted because it's not what it could be. You know what it could be. So hearing the sound coming softly through this little speaker doesn't do justice to Matthew. So I'm hoping now I appreciate you.
Yes, sorry about that.
I got to listen to these pieces, you know, on my Apple Air Max headphones, and so you can't really evaluate it. The other thing I will say is, no disrespect to you guys, I never notice the soundtrack the first time I watch a movie. I never pay attention to it. I'm so sorry. But then the second and third time, I notice it. And I believe that these guys and the four who did this are like the MVPs of a movie that nobody ever gets to meet. And it drives me crazy because we work on set and we build this teamwork and this fellowship and this blood, sweat, and tears, and everybody leaves and hugs each other. And then after we're done with the edit and it's all finished, then we bring it to an Aaron or Tyler, and they just completely transform the whole. They're such a key part of the movie, and they don't get to meet anybody. And I don't think it's fair to you guys. You should be in the tent, you know. You should be climbing the mountain, you know, because you're such a big part of it. So that's my little preface, man. The score, from my perspective, is such an important element, and it has to be done. Well, it can be done all kinds of ways. These four, all four of them, it was a thrill to see a scene that I not only wrote and directed, but I edited. I'm an editor, so an editor is worried about the pace and the ups and the downs, and each of these four composers brought something really cool. And no director is ever going to get this, I don't think, where they get four complete scores to their scene and they get to hear all four. I don't think Spielberg gets that. So I had a blast. Alyssa, thank you for doing this. A couple of things that I will say that I like to look for. Obviously the score is the emotion lead, but I like to see a score that pulls you forward. It's not sort of like an underscore. This scene has this piece. This scene has this piece. It's always pushing you forward, not hard and fast. But I started to notice as I listened to these third, fourth, fifth time, started paying attention to what they were doing, that some of them take that underscore mentality. It's almost scene by scene, and then some of them have sort of this horizontal projection. And I mean, I like all four of them, but I'll try to point out the moments where I noticed that this composer really drew this to be a singular film, not a series of scenes. And that's just a little comment that I have.
Great. I thought it was excellent as well. All four of these that you're about to hear did a fantastic job. I really liked how this one was very good at Matthew, not this one. Matthew, great job at mood setting. You didn't try to do too much. I think that is another struggle of composers, similar to what Tyler said. We always want to add more and get our music heard, but often it's better to just stay out of the way, and I think you did a great job doing that with uncluttered orchestration. I really liked during the when they're in the line, right, at the checkpoint line, the moving, you had bass note or basses and cellos in an octave, just doing this very plodding melody line. Again, very great tool to just create a mood without doing too much. And so I really noticed that stood out. Only critique, and this is creative, similar to what Tyler was saying, it's a creative choice, and obviously that's between you and the director, and you talk these things through. I loved the tension that was building through that scene. And then when she was encouraging her husband, we have to do this right before that, you went into kind of a faster pace with a bass line and kind of a semi-heroic theme and then back into the tension. And to me, I felt like that broke some of the tension flow to me. And so there's an obvious moment when she decides, let's do this, that there could be some relaxing of the mood. But overall, that whole scene says, this is intense. And so trying to keep that tension throughout. But otherwise, I just think you did a great job reading each scene and bringing the colors that each scene deserved. So.
Right. All right, we're going to move on to Brian Buda. I'm going to play his. Let's see. Just make sure it's not going to. Okay. Volume up.
Let's see if we can get this on the
Yes,
speakers.
is it possible to go to this like sound output settings in here? I'm not on
Maybe.
Windows personally.
Not, yeah.
It's probably in settings somewhere.
Okay.
Here, right
I'm not sure. I mean, wait, come on. Sorry, guys. I think it's something. I don't know. It's something to do with the
Settings.
speakers up there.
now. Yeah, there's sound. There we go. You should be able to. There. It's going through the TV. Yeah, I do
Yeah, there.
speaker headphones.
Okay.
There we go.
Let's turn it down here for a second.
There, beautiful. Thank you, guys. All right, let's restart
start
it.
it over.
Actually.
Now.
Yep, we're gonna do it. Thank you, guys.
Brian Buda thanks you.
Yes.
Notice, as she starts this over, notice how he picks this ascending melody as the bad guys are ascending the stairs. It's really clever. Can you start it over now that we can hear it?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay.
Află mult dorita ușurarea suferințelor prinții rog. Vertes, scutit legal, preparat, încercat de mult. Ridică-te, hai! Tu, dragi! Punem în direct. Atențiune România! Prim-ministrul Armand Călinescu este mort! Executat pentru binele națiunii și în beneficiul tuturor românilor. Trăiască gară de fier! Hai, Hitler!
Are you afraid?
Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Genesis 26. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Deuteronomy 1. Do not be afraid of them. Joshua 8.
Hi. I'm kind of afraid.
I'm collecting all the verses in the Bible that tell us not to be afraid. I think I might need to lean on one of them.
Read me some more.
Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. If they are coming, then they're coming. Let's not think of them as enemies to be feared, but rather as a mission.
Run away?
If we stay, I'll follow the others into prison. It will be the end of our lives together. I'll be tortured, perhaps killed.
Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. We believe this or we don't. I think we have to stay. We have a job to do.
Yeah, much better, the sound. Yes. All right. Tyler.
Awesome. And I'm going to preface this with saying, I know these guys have watched these clips. I'm watching these for the first time today. So you're getting my initial reaction to everything. So, wow, it's amazing how different composers have just completely different approaches to scoring a scene like that, as we watched in the two previous examples. not that one was wrong and one was right. It just gives you, I felt different things watching it this way. And I love some of the melodic and harmonic choices that this composer made on these, and the use of piano too. Even that moment where the shooting begins, it kind of pulls back into that piano. And the only critique I would have there is I would have added maybe some kind of pedal tone, either above or below, just to kind of hold that together. But I honestly love the way that felt. And I also really felt the urgency in those tense moments with his choice of kind of going with the faster tempo movements. Really, really was impressed with what he did here. I think my constructive criticism would be to work on transitioning from, we talked about this, about going between these two different moods. It can be a challenge as a composer to keep, as Aaron said, keep the tension, but also transition into those scenes. And I feel like there were moments that could have been a little bit smoother. But overall, there's some really amazing stuff, and I was feeling things, so that's good. Good job.
John.
These guys have such good ears. I said nice things about the composers last time, and then I was remembering shooting this scene and going through 2 fire trucks full of water to create all that rain, and realized you guys don't have to go out and do anything hard, do you? Just sit in your air-conditioned room, play music all day, so I take it all back. I like this one too, Brian, great job. I was thinking, working with a composer is a lot like working with an actor. I have an idea of what I think it should be, and I put it on, I record the whole movie before we start. But then the actor brings their own interpretation. And so I pre-edit a bunch of music that I can't use because it's ripped off from other places. But then you hear the composer bring their own creative ideas to the scene. This one, you notice it changed time signatures. It went from 4/4 to 7/8 to 3/4. It was very creative. This guy, there's this thing we like which is called theme and variation. And that kind of makes it feel like this is your personal score. And he really laid in, like you said, with that piano, with this kind of cool, low bass piano theme. And then he did variations on that through that whole thing. Built the tension. One of the composers I like is John Powell, because he did The Bourne Identity, and I think that was really good. And this guy kind of reminded me of John Powell, and drove my emotions as well. I think I told you guys, it's very hard for me to listen to a score the first time I see it. So you're doing a great job. But maybe something that Tyler said, notice, Brian and the next guy interpreted the guns scene where they're assassinating Kaliescu. They interpreted it totally differently. He went counterintuitive, and all of a sudden, in the most heightened, violent scene in the whole movie, he goes to this very serene, peaceful counter, which is cool. The next guy does it differently. So pay attention when that scene comes up. You probably, we don't have to choose. It's just 2 different interpretations, like an actor who does 2 different things. The other thing that's different is if Aaron or Tyler is scoring a whole movie, I don't know how you guys do it, but I imagine you sort of look at the whole thing and decide where you can't be at peak all the time unless you're, I guess some movies, but, there's variations. So when a composer only gets a 6-minute piece, they can go to the top and to the bottom, or they don't know where the top and the bottom is. So to me, that scene where the assassination, those 3 people that are assassinating Kaliescu in the streets, in this case, I thought it was really cool. He did counterintuitive Brian, and then in the next case, when you hear the next one, you'll hear how Nic translated that, so just pay attention.
Yeah, I love hearing people's different interpretations of how each of these scenes. I really liked the piano and solo clarinet choice for dropping out. I like when composers kind of go against you score against the action kind of with peace, like John was saying, and it works. It works really well. And I also liked your little piano motif, the bum 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 bum, when they were waiting in line. It kind of reminded me of the old Nazi movies of the golden age of Hollywood. So I really enjoyed that take. Again, constructive criticism. The only thing that stuck out to me during the sweet scene between husband and wife, I felt like things got a little busy with the piano, and those are arpeggiating 8th notes can make a scene feel like it's pushing a little faster than it should. And so an easy thing you can do is, instead of arpeggiating it, you just make it a chord, okay? And let those chords breathe a little bit in your melody line so that the piano's not rushing things because that's a very intimate scene, and I think a little slower pace through that orchestration-wise would have helped that linger a bit. But again, really enjoying everyone's take on this, and great work, Brian.
All right, next we have Nic Dysert.
Aflăm mândurită ușurarea suferințelor părinților. Vedeți, scutit regal, preparat, cel mai mult.
Ridică-te, hai! Tu, până aici! Hai, hai, hai! Pune-mă în direct! Atențiune, România! Prim-ministrul Armand Călinescu este mort! Executat pentru binele națiunii și în beneficiul tuturor românilor.
Are you afraid?
Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Genesis 26. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Deuteronomy 1. Do not be afraid of them. Joshua 8.
I'm kind of afraid.
I'm collecting all the verses in the Bible that tell us not to be afraid. I think I might need to lean on all of them.
Read me some more.
Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. If they're coming, then they're coming. Let's not think of them as enemies to be feared, but rather as a mission.
tortured, perhaps killed.
Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. We believe this or we don't. I think we have to stay. We have a job to do.
All right, Tyler.
Wow, that was really great. That pulled me into the scene. I think one of the hardest jobs as a composer is learning restraint. Am I right, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. It's a challenge. And I think oftentimes we can get locked into this idea of like, oh, well, this moment's tense, so I need to have music playing through the entire thing, and I need to, fill the space. But you have to be sensitive to what's going on screen. And I think this composer did an excellent job of being sensitive. One thing I'll point out too is like, in my opinion as a composer, sometimes it's just as important where to place music as it is to like be in the clear with no music. That's a very hard thing to do. But just a perfect example would be Spielberg and John Williams like did this very well in Jurassic Park. When you first see the T-Rex, is there music in that scene? There's none at all. You don't realize it though. So I loved the fact that after the assassination scene, when it goes to the intimate scene in the house, it's completely in the clear. There's nothing playing. And so giving room to breathe, I think, is really important in the score. And just making those choices of like, when do we need to, we talk about transitions, but sometimes a transition is a transition to silence, and letting that scene build. And I actually loved the way, at the end of that scene, he does this transitional piece that I wouldn't have thought of, like the other examples, and this is fine too, but like go right into the tension when it goes into the scene in the car. But the way he bridged those two scenes together with the more emotional kind of laid back sound, I think it like worked really well. And yeah, I want to be critical, but I feel like I can't on this one. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Man, I had to listen to it 5 times to get half of that insight, but I agree with you. Nic Dysert, is that how you say it?
I think
Dysert?
Dysert, yeah, he's right there, actually.
Yeah. Awesome work, man.
Great job, Nick.
Really, I just dig it. From the very minute it started, you gave me this foreboding, and there's a little historical detail that that was the waltz on the record that was playing during the time the announcement was broken into in 1941 when he was arrested. So I went to great pains to find. So I like how you left the waltz to be the waltz, which is in itself a counterpoint. There's this little thing, Lily Happy Waltz, and then we're going to announce the assassination of a president. So much of this was so good. The silence, again, that Tyler just mentioned, and then how you crept in after that and how you bridged it to the next. I would ask for a bit of a refund because, he didn't score those 16 seconds right there. So, but other than financially, this is the greatest thing is that, this is so obvious, you guys know, but an original score, it fits like a glove over your finished narrative. And that's a perfect example. I mean, no one other than original score could have brought that in the way you did at just that moment. And I was on the edge of my seat. The entrance was great. And then, the promise, when she gets into when he says the very hairs on your head are numbered. I mean, in a way, I heard that for the first time. I was listening to these this morning, and I've seen this scene a million times, everything else, and somehow the music made that stick out to me in a new way. God has promised that he knows us so intimately most of us, he knows how many hairs are on our head. Present company accepted in some cases. But that beautiful presence of God, sorry. It's a beautiful promise. And he's sort of reading scripture after scripture. But the way the score brought that up, I just thought, man, our Heavenly Father, he knows us so personally. And I've read the line, I wrote the line, but you brought it alive with that piece of music. Beautiful. Again, as Tyler said, I really feel like you did transition from scene to scene in a beautiful way, that horizontal movement that I just love. And I really loved how you didn't, again, the patient, I use the same word in my little notes here, that I appreciate how the score didn't fight with the dialogue with the Germans. It held the patience. So, yeah, Nic, fantastic work. You're extremely talented.
My first note is in all caps, and it just says timpani. And this was one of the only ones in all four that used timpani, I thought, very, very well. And I'm a huge timpani fan, especially in a scene like this. So that was the first thing I took note of. And similar to what has already been said, you made the silence count. And that is extremely hard to do. And I think, you know, when you're doing a scoring competition, the temptation is, well, I should have wall-to-wall music because I'm here to score it. But the scene where she comes in and it's absolute silence as she walks up to him, as she says the first few words, and to just feel the ambience of the room, so effective. So great work on that. You did not overscore. And the only thing, I heard a note come out of nowhere right before you started scoring into that scene. That was the only thing that I rewound it a couple times and I was like, that sounds like it's coming out of nowhere. Probably just a glitch that right before going into it. But that was literally the only thing that I was like, something sounds funny there. But otherwise, I think you did a great job. And I really liked the sustained tension throughout the checkpoint scene too. Kind of what I mentioned in the first submission. I think that whole scene needs to be building up the tension, even though there's some variance in emotion during that scene. The overwhelming feeling is we're getting closer to that guard and potentially the end of us. And so the only time you broke that a little bit was when she said, I think we have to stay, and you changed the chord progression there to kind of a little bit of resolution right before going up to the guard. So love how you handled that scene and the whole thing.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful job. All right.
Can I make one more comment quick before you go? Just a note that what you guys are such magicians at is your sound libraries have gotten so good. You all have orchestras at your fingertips. But it's not just having the orchestras. It's this, you know, for those of us that don't know how to compose orchestras, how they use, like he said, timpanis. I noticed that you had brass. That your score, it just sounded great. Like you just blended instruments that created this beautiful smoothness. A solo instrument can be great sometimes, but not only the quality of East-West or whatever you're using, but these orchestral choices that you guys have made, it just blows me away. It's so rich and warm. It's like every instrument is a Steinway. It's really, really beautiful, and I hope we all appreciate this talent that these guys have. It's amazing.
Yeah. One more before we go to lunch here. So Ryan Garcia.
This one, by the way, the music is mixed really loud. Remember, these guys weren't mixing it into the movie. So you'll hear the score really prominently here.
afraid, for I am with you. Genesis 26. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Deuteronomy 1. Do not be afraid of them. Joshua 8.
Why? I'm kind of afraid.
I'm collecting all the verses in the Bible that tell us not to be afraid. I think I might need to lean on all of them.
Read me some more.
Are not two sparrows sold for farming? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. If they are coming, then they are coming. Let's not think of them as enemies to be feared, but rather as a mission.
Uh-oh. It like, that's weird. It's like the speaker's conked out or something. This is strange. Yeah, like the speaker's up there. Okay. Oh, okay. It's like it's buffering or something. Weird. Let's see if it's not overheating or something. Okay.
Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. We believe this or we don't. I think we have to stay. We have a job to do.
All right.
Wow, they're all so different. It's like it's crazy how you could interpret a scene so differently, and the way it makes you feel different each time you watch it. Like it's wild. So it just goes to show how important the music is. We could only get directors to realize this. No, I know John does. He's the one who cares for sure, and realizes the importance. But man, it can change a scene completely. One note I wanted to make on this one is I liked the way all the other examples, the music kind of comes in pretty like heavy right away. I liked the way that he kind of waited till they put their foot on those steps and you instantly feel the urgency, and he really carries it through that scene too. And then toward the end as well, that kind of ticking sound we were hearing, it just, I don't know, you feel the urgency, it gets your heart beating in a good way. And the intimate scene too in the house, I like that it was melodic, but it wasn't too busy. It was, there was a theme in there. I'm a big theme guy, but I could hear the theme he was bringing in, and it was orchestrated in a way that wasn't overpowering, and that stuck out to me. So great job, great theme writing. The only note I guess I would have is a problem that I think a lot of us composers have is like how much is too much. When we're layering and adding all these elements together. Obviously, there's moments that call for that, but just being sensitive to when you need to pull back and when you need to maybe remove some layers. But great job overall.
Yeah, I love your comments. I would like to take a moment to kind of address what you just said, which is Nic's a composer, Alyssa's a composer, probably others of you in the room. As a director, I would like to know what you want from me that gives you freedom and yet direction. Like, what's the best thing I could do to set you up? To say, hey, man, you're scoring this movie. What do you need from me? What's the best thing you can get? Seriously, I'm curious.
Oh, that's a great question. Gosh, I mean, are you a temp music guy or no?
Yes.
Are you pretty,
yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Okay, see, it
Totally.
depends.
I put it
It's like a controversial topic, I know. But I've worked with directors who are very hands-off, very like, you do what you, like they're scared to put tip music on it because they're like, I don't want it to lead you into a place that, is going to box you in. Then I've worked with directors who are so specific, it's like every moment is plotted out like with temp music, like it needs to hit here, it needs to. So
From Schindler's List, from Gladiator. It's
please
all,
don't use John Williams, please. That's my one request.
Exactly, that's what I want to know, what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you learn a language with each director you work with, and I think if you can find a way to communicate, some of them don't have musical language, obviously, and they're not always going to. So it's really, as a composer, it's learning to interpret things like, I need to feel angst here. I need to feel the tension building, and that's part of our job as a composer. It's kind of on us to figure out, well, how am I going to translate that musically? But honestly, you can't over-communicate, in my opinion. I think having those conversations with the director are super important. And sometimes they might legitimately not know what they want. They don't know until they hear it sometimes. But just keeping that conversation going back and forth, I think, is super important.
Well, thank you. And I want to hear from Aaron, too. I put everything in there completely. And I mean, it's a children's choir, and then it's completely in there. And so there's this moment when the first time the score comes back, the movie seems all wrong. Because I'm used to Gladiator, I'm used to, and you're like, wow, I really like that John Williams score. But then, like I said, I got to listen to it 2 or 3 times, but then it starts to switch, and then I become the biggest fanboys of the composers ever, because they made our project so much better. So yeah, I'd like to know from you as well what you think about what's best.
Yeah, I think in summary, I would say I'd rather directors have a strong opinion before I start than after. Because I've had some directors who say like, yeah, whatever you want to do, it's going to be great. And then I score some cues and send them, and they're, oh, well, here's my vision for it. And I'm like,
and then you're playing 20 questions.
I want those hours back. So that's, similar to what Tyler said. If you have a vision and a strong opinion, do that up front so that we can be very aware of what what you want it to sound like, inspirations. I think it's always helpful to have, do you want this to sound somewhat like Hans Zimmer or John Powell, or you can understanding that composers are going to bring their own unique voice, but we still like to know who the inspirations are behind your temp music or whatever. So yeah, I would say communication is just the big deal breaker. And I've had, with temp music, I feel similarly, like temp music can be extremely helpful, just even knowing where you want music to start and end, so you don't have to think about that too much as you're writing. And a lot of times, I've worked with people that they'll, a music supervisor or someone who knows the director will approach me and say, hey, this director's really loyal to temp music, so just don't waste your time trying to change his mind. Just try and stick close to what his temp music is. And then other people say, well, there's temp music in there, don't really, don't pay too close attention to it. The director really wants to hear your take on it. So as long as those things are communicated up front, I think that's ideal for composers.
That's great. That's awesome. And we have time for some questions. I mean, I hope.
Do you want to, Ryan, yeah.
All right. This was the only one that used choir, I noticed, and I think it was used effectively. The human voice conveys a lot of emotion, so using it during an emotional scene like the assassination, I think, works really well, added some nice emotional depth. I would say Ryan's not here, is he? I would say he probably made the most unique creative choices, which can be risky as a composer. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Tyler already mentioned the ticking clock. I think that ticking clock sound paired with the rhythmic things that he was doing worked really well. That feeling of, whoa, time is ticking, we're getting close. That I thought was really creative. He also did, right when he was pulling up to the guard, you felt the tempo rise as they were getting close, which imitated the rapid heart rate increasing. You can do those things, and maybe some people won't notice them, but they do work really well, and even increasing the tempo a little bit can increase an audience's heart rate. So those were really cool, interesting choices. I will say, when you do that, and I think it happened a little bit in this one, some things can stick out in areas that you don't want them to stick out, where you kind of take a lead role instead of a supporting role. And one instance of that, like Tyler said, loved the melody during the that sweet moment between husband and wife, and this is just a little thing. It was a pretty bright piano, and sometimes when it gets really high up in the upper registers and it's bright like that, it can stand out a little more in your mix. And so choosing just a more mellow piano, whatever instrument software you're using, if you don't want something to stand out, you can get these pianos and really soften the sound to match the warmness of that scene, or take it down an octave. That's another way where you can kind of just lay a little low. So it was a beautiful melody. I think it would soften it a little bit, warm it up a little bit. But all in all, I think hit all the main emotional beats that you would want, and took some creative choices, creative risks.
Does anyone have any questions at all? Yes.
I was going to ask. So
It's on.
it's
Yeah.
on. Okay. So listening to all these different unique perspectives, interpretations on how to score a particular film, what would composers like to see more from filmmakers as far as when they are auditioning composers or trying to find whose particular style of writing or music is going to be the best match for their film?
Does anyone want to take that question? Yes.
Okay. So you're saying, just with regard to picking a composer, how to do it? Yeah. I would, which you probably already have, pick if you could pick one of the A-list, for example, composers to score your film, know who that is, and then find people in our sphere that would probably most closely compose to that type of music. And I would encourage you to investigate composers, whether you have a film in development or not. you need to start picking who those people would, dream big and figure out who you love to score your film. So go to composers' websites, listen to their samples, and one composer may really jump out at you, but then you hear another composer whose style resembles more what you're looking for, even though they're all talented. You really have to know what sound you're looking for and hear something because if a composer should have a website with samples. If they don't, that's a problem. But you need to have that in mind when you go onto their website and are listening to some of the work they've done or watching movies that they've done. And take note of those, and then pick your, top 3, top 5, and those are the ones you would reach out to and say, hey, I'm working on a movie, would you mind writing a demo? That's very industry standard to write a 1 to 3 minute demo in the style of whatever they're looking for, and then narrow it down from there. So it's just a process of expose yourself to as many composers as you can and find the ones you love. Keep an eye on their work.
And what Aaron said, I think you're alluding to this, but there's, oftentimes they'll do an audition and take a scene like this, for example, and if they are having a hard time deciding, they'll just throw it out to a group of composers that they're interested in, and then they'll score the scene on spec if they're willing to, and then they can kind of make a choice from there. I've been part of a number of those processes. Sometimes you, as a composer, sometimes you win them, you lose them, but it's a way for them to kind of hear, similar to what we're doing today, honestly, composers' different takes on the scenes. And oftentimes, like, there's times when I've done that, and I don't even end up using the music I wrote for that scene initially. It's funny, it's like, because you get around to it, and you're like, well, it's gone a completely different direction now. But it is a way to kind of have an introduction with that director and see if it's a good fit or not. So I always, recommend that to composers. Hey, this is a great, chance to kind of get in. It's a good experience, too, whether or not you get the job. And it's a way for them to kind of have an introduction to your work. So
I'd like to add one comment. I mean, I always say directing is 90% casting, because you're just so dependent on the actors that you cast. And auditioning and casting is a brutal process. It's terrible for the actors. It's terrible for the directors. It's terrible for the casting directors. It's just brutal. And it's even worse. At least there's multiple roles in a film. There's only one composer. Like, you guys just blow me away with the life you've chosen. The odds are stacked against you. Oh. It's terrible. It's just terrible. But I want to thank Alyssa for letting me do this, because you just have expanded my mind. We tend to get, I work with this DP. And we have our team that's worked well, we work again. I mean, I'd never heard of Nic Dysert before today. I mean, and the other
It's
guys.
Nic Dysert. Sorry about that. We have to ask people to, yeah.
Dysert.
Next time I'll make
She
sure we
said it wrong.
have you guys write down your pronunciations of names.
So it's opened me to go, man, there's so much talent, and it's so fun to get, eventually you get your team together. And, when I watch what Emil Mondanak, who played Richard Ward, and Reluk, and the process that we went through to cast them, but thank God we got to them. And I would, go to the ends of the earth with them. Your composer's just as important. So you've really inspired us directors to not, just mail it in and, we'll use that guy before we use him again. He might be great, but man, is this a rich experience. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to use your film too as well. So, any other questions?